It's still early in the MLS season, but Jim Curtin's team have yet to find their feet, garnering only one win through the first 5 games this year.
Dwyer is onside, and Dom Dwyer does what Dom Dwyer always seems to do.
Tonight, the Union take on the only team in the Western Conference without a loss, FC Dallas. Will this be the game David Accam and CJ Sapong break out, or will a struggling offense continue to sputter? It's the Union against FC Dallas here on PHL 17. Next. The second road game of the season brings the Philadelphia Union to Frisco, Texas, where the club is searching for its first win since the home opener. Tonight, the Union visit Toyota Stadium for the first and lone meeting of the regular season against unbeaten FC Dallas. Welcome to Philadelphia Union Soccer with Marissa Pilla. I'm Dave Leto. Marissa, the Union look for their first road victory since May of last year.
And it's going to be a tough task because FC Dallas has one of the best defenses in MLS. They've only conceded 3 goals this year, which is the fewest of any team in the league, and it's a big reason why they remain undefeated so far. Union head coach Jim Curtin said if this team is going to get a result tonight, they need to be more ruthless on both sides of the ball.
As we dive into the Eastern Conference standings, the Union have racked up 5 points while New York City FC sits at the top of the table with an unblemished record. Atlanta United is unbeaten in its last 5 since an opening weekend loss at Houston, and after a strong start, Columbus has lost its last 3 games. The Union don't want to chase this early, and the slate won't get easier as tonight begins an arduous stretch.
Well, 4 of their next 5 are on the road after their April 28th match against DC. The Union won't play back at home until May 19th, so the schedule is only getting harder from here on out. A big game tonight from the Union will be needed to make up some ground in the East.
Among the next opponents, Toronto and Columbus were playoff teams from the East last year. And now we'll send it over to the men calling tonight's match, JP Delacamera and Tommy Smith.
Thanks, Dave. Well, after scoring 2 goals in the first game against New England, Tommy, the Union have scored just once in the last 4 games. So how did they get the offense going tonight on the road at Dallas?
Well, it's not going to be easy, but one of the things they have to do is they have to start finishing all these opportunities that they've had. They've created so many great opportunities in these games, but they have failed to dupe the old onion bag, and that's what's needed tonight against a good defense. That's going to take a lot of doing.
Speaking of finishing, for FC Dallas, this player has had no trouble finishing. Roland Lamar leads the team in goals scored this season with 3 goals. Also has a couple of assists. He scored 5 goals in his last 6 games overall, and 14 career goals for Lamar. 13 have come at Toyota Stadium. So he scores a majority of his goals at home. He'll have the freedom, Tommy, to roam tonight in what they're calling a 4-4-2 starting 11. Advocare brings you FC Dallas starting lineup.
Obviously, he's one of the men that you got to watch, but there's that back 4, and they have been very consistent. They're very tough. It's going to be very tough to get behind them. Watch for barriers coming down on the right-hand side and Mosquera on the left-hand side, and then you look at the man you talked about up front. He'll be roaming around all over the place, and it's going to be up to that young defence to try to corral them tonight.
As for the Philadelphia Union, Haris Medunjanin was the man who led them last year in assists with 12, had a tremendous year. This year so far, hasn't had a single assist. He plays every minute next to Alejandro Bedoya. Tonight they're hoping that Bedoya, Medunjanin, and Dochkal can all combine to get the offense going and get out of this slump where they've scored just that 1 goal. They've been shut out 3 times in the first 5 games. Starting 11 for the Philadelphia Union is also presented by Advocare, Tommy, and it's a very similar lineup with a couple of changes.
Well, of course, McKenzie here getting his first start tonight. He's in there in place of Jack Elliott. Jack Elliott is with the squad, but he's not playing tonight. Gaddis is going to be in on the left. And then, of course, you talk about that midfield. You talk about Bedoya, Medunjanin and Dochkal. They got to get it together, and they got to get Sapong into the game. This is the man that works so hard for them. And what about Accam? He's got to do more than he has done. He's brilliant speed. He's a brilliant player. They got speed on both sides. The thing tonight is, JP, they got to utilise it, and they got to finish off the chances.
Well, the only time that the Philadelphia Union defeated FC Dallas was last year at Talon Energy Stadium. Sapong had a couple of goals in that one. We'll see if they can do it tonight. It'll be a little bit more difficult. It's on the road at FC Dallas. It's coming up next.
And Dallas has really adapted to that with their 4-4-2 formation. They've been shutting down a lot of passing channels through the middle, making it nearly impossible for the Union to really hit their wingers through balls at the top of the 18. Also, we've seen David Accam really be double teamed as soon as he gets the ball. There's at least 2 defenders on him, kind of rendering him almost useless on that wing, not being able to use his speed. Dallas came out with a lot of pressure on the Union so far, and the Union haven't been able to break through.
Dallas is working the wings more so than the Union. You see the Union really trying to operate. JP and Tommy hit on this in the first half. They're trying to operate more centrally, trying to run at those center backs in that back four for FC Dallas. But you're seeing the Union not testing Jimmy Maurer. I think the Union want to get some more opportunities from their wings, and that starts with the Fafa Picault and David Accam sign, as you touched on. Well, when we return, we'll have first half highlights and stats from this one as we're scoreless between the Union and FC Dallas. Back in a moment. Elevate your game going for goal in summer 2018. The official camps of the Philadelphia Union are presented by Bimbo. Reserve your spot today at one or more locations in PA, New Jersey, and Delaware by visiting unionsoccerschools.com or call 610-581-7600. Now time for first half highlights, brought to you by TrueMark Financial. Member banking is better banking.
This was the first Union's opportunity. Accam dribbles in at the top of the 18. It gets deflected by CJ Sapong, but Dochcal, able to contain himself, takes a shot and goes right over the crossbar. A good look from Dochcal, but this is where FC Dallas really hits their stride on the attack. You can see Mark McKenzie fell down. That leaves it wide open for Mosquera to take this ball right to Andre Blake, who opens up real big off of his line, comes up and stops the ball. But again, on the counterattack, FC Dallas building the play through the middle. A gorgeous ball right at the top of the box. And we see Lamar take a shot to Barrios, and Barrios just finds right into the hands of Andre Blake.
In fact, it's been a season-high 5 saves for Andre Blake, and you see the turnover there on Rosenberry. It leaves Mosquera outside the penalty area. Blake has to come up with another sensational stop to the back post as well. It continued for FC Dallas. Again, you see the turnover centrally in the attacking third in a dangerous area. Another chance is high by Mosquera as the Union are scoreless with FC Dallas. First half stats are brought to you by Talent Energy, the official energy supplier of the Philadelphia Union.
Once again, the Union have the majority of the possession, but once again, it doesn't quite matter looking at the scoreboard. Only 3 shots total, none of which went on target. You can see FC Dallas had 10 total shots, 5 of those on goal. Andre Blake coming up, playing huge tonight for the Philadelphia Union. He is the reason why this game is still scoreless and heading into the second half.
Marissa and I will be back to anchor our post-match show following this one. But up next, JP and Tommy take you through the second half after these messages.
This is a live look at Toyota Stadium, where the Philadelphia Union fell 2-0 to FC Dallas. Union are now winless in their last 5 matches. Welcome to Union Post-Match. Alongside Dave Leno, I'm Marissa Pilla. Kind of a little bit of the same thing we saw from the Union in the first half, leaving players open on counterattacks, allowing FC Dallas to really get in there, get some good chances going on.
Yeah, the club's still having an inability to create some chances in the final third of play. I think Union fans would say there's still not a lot of opportunities generated by Borek Dochcal out of the number 10, trying to feed it to the wings to either David Accam or Fafa Picault. You saw the substitutions for each of them, but it led to FC Dallas having a multitude of chances getting it out to the wings. I believe there were a lot of turnovers that JP and Tommy, well documented in this one, in the middle of the field. That caused some open seams for FC Dallas, started right at the center backs of the Philadelphia Union. I thought Mark McKenzie was very good in his debut, was very calm on the ball early. But there were moments in this match that Union fans will look at and scrutinize here because the team saw a lot of odd number rushes. And when you have the advantage in the final third for FC Dallas, they really deliver throughout this one.
We saw the Union get out of position, too. They weren't keeping their shape on defense. That's something that the team has preached throughout the season, keeping compact, keeping their shape on defense, which is very important because, as we see, you get punished on those counterattacks, which was kind of the story of the whole entire night for the Philadelphia Union against FC Dallas. And if you're FC Dallas looking into the second half, you see the Union getting a couple of good chances, a couple of good looks on net, and then their head coach kind of looks to their bench and sees Max Arudi and Mauro Diaz sitting there and realizes, hey, I should throw these guys in. And what a great move for FC Dallas, because immediately they make an impact on the field. 2 goals within 10 minutes between the two of them. And those are guys who are usually starters for this team. Immediately came out, was a spark on offense. And after that, after they touched the ball a couple times, it was kind of game over for the Philadelphia Union. But they did hang in there. We saw them bring the ball up, start to create more possession and plays throughout the middle in the beginning of the second half, but they couldn't hold on throughout the game.
Let's take a look at the final numbers from this match. You'll see the disparity right away on the corners, 11-2, and the total shots as well. CJ Sapong had a few golden opportunities to cash in inside the penalty area amid Jimmy Maurer, but unfortunately for the Union, they didn't go home. And Marissa, that has been a theme this season. You see possession. The Union have been getting more possession. Jim Curtin has commented that in his midweek press conferences to the media, but that's just not good enough. This team wants to see those more chances capitalized amid goal.
Possession is all fine and good, but you have to make something happen with that possession. As you can see from here, only 9 total shots, 2 of those on goal. That's just not enough opportunities, given that you have someone like CJ Sapong up top in your number 9, who had a fantastic year last year, was able to use his physicality and his strength to create space and really go one-on-one in front of net. But now teams know how to defend against him after that standout year. David Accam, we saw as soon as he touched the ball, 2-3 defenders were on him, so he can't use that speed to cut inside, which was kind of the game plan heading into the season when they acquired Accam to open up space. Fafa Picault on the right side, he came back after an injury, and he was really trying to work hard, get those minutes in, show off his speed, but maybe doing a little too much sometimes, getting in his own way. Bork Dochkow should be serving a couple more balls. We haven't seen him facilitate that offense like we heard he should be doing so far. So on offense, the Union just haven't created enough chances. We did see them lower their opportunities on crosses. They've been doing a lot of far crosses into the field, into the center of the field, but no one is there to play them well in the air. They kind of kept the ball more on the ground tonight, which was a good thing, but still not enough opportunities in front of net.
And the club therefore suffers its 3rd defeat of the 2018 season. The second road game for the Philadelphia Union results in another loss. 2-0 FC Dallas wins it over the Union. More of our post-match show when we return after this. 3rd loss for the Philadelphia Union. They drop it on the road in Frisco, Texas at FC Dallas by a score of 2-0. Welcome back to our post-match show. In the studio with Marissa Pilla, I'm Dave Lennon. We talk about the missed opportunities in the final third of this one. CJ Sapong still had some opportunities. What do you think he's going through in 2018? He scores in the home opener against the Revolution, but nothing doing since then.
I think people just know how to shut down CJ Sapong now, but no one has a better work rate than CJ Sapong. You see him really starting with the defense. Head coach Jim Curtin always says the Union's defense starts with CJ Sapong. He puts in a lot of dirty running, and you see him always working throughout the game. I think people are just guarding him a little too tight these days. He can't get those touches. A lot of his goals last season came from that penalty spot or closer throughout the year, and now he's just getting guarded tighter in that area. I just don't think those places and balls are there for him this year.
You're right. I think the zonal marking has been terrific by the opposition on Sapong and also David Accam. Let's take a look at the full game highlights of this one, beginning with the first half and a golden opportunity for the Union right away as Dochkow's working outside the penalty area here. As you see, FC Dallas trying to stand their ground, and it's high above the bar by Bork Dochkow. Amid these horrid elements here in Frisco, Texas, it was a downpour there at Toyota Stadium, and here's the counterattack. And this happened multiple times. Here's Mosquera, who made the start in for Rudy. He just goes wide of the far post there for FC Dallas. But watch these balls played. In the middle third of the field, the back line gets confused. Another opportunity here for Barrios. And McKenzie is trying to catch him. A fantastic stop by Andre Blake. Just some sensational saves by Blake, because this really could have been a 3-4 goal deficit. Here's the turnover by Keegan Rosenberry, and it's cleaned up there again by Mosquera's curling ball once again, denied by Andre Blake. He read that well, but you see that confusion again by this young back line of the Philadelphia Union. Lamar played some brilliant balls. Look at that through ball there to Mosquera. Again, the Union have to track back late under defending, and it led to another opportunity for FC Dallas, but in the second half, it all changed in favor of Dallas.
sure Dallas continued to get more players forward. You see here, Pico just gets that turnover. That ball crosses right across the goal line. They're lucky no one was running far post for Dallas to kind of tap that ball right in for them. But the Union got things going a little bit in the second half as well. Bork Dochkout on that right-hand side sends a nice ball over the top to Fafa Pico. And how is this not a goal? And CJ Sapong just can't get that second touch. You can see the frustration on these players. You can see how CJ was hit right in stride. He could have gotten his left foot just wrapped around that ball a little bit more. That would have been a nice goal for the Union to save them. On a corner kick from Mario Diaz, Austin Trusty pulls down Matt Hedges, causing a penalty kick, and that's when Diaz just comes in, goes far corner, makes it really easy to get Dallas up on the game 1-0. Max Cerruti later in the game, another sub coming off the bench for FC Dallas. The ball building in the back, and we see Lamar send a beautiful ball right through. Pretty easy stuff. He gets right in behind the defense, goes low corner past Andre Blake, and that's how the game finished for FC Dallas, a 2-0 win over the Philadelphia Union.
Two subs coming in, getting on the sheet. You saw Mauro Diaz. He came in the 60th minute, got on the board in the 64th on that penalty. Andre Blake, sensational with 8 saves despite the loss, but you see that drought since May of last year at DC. Urruti as well, Marissa, came in the 69th minute, scored in the 74th minute as well. But you saw how flawless FC Dallas was in the transition game, and I thought that the Union were a little bit on the slower pace when it comes to tracking back there. FC Dallas really picked their spots, but it seemed like the back line was just well in sync with Lamont and Barrios, and obviously with Diaz and Urruti when they came into the second half. And I feel like the Union were chasing the game. You saw Medunjanin had to get higher up the pitch in the second half to generate some more scoring. If you go back to half number 1 in this one, Medunjanin had to stay back at Trusty and McKenzie. But you need to get Medunjanin up high to create those scoring opportunities. Just not a lot of them for the Philadelphia Union. And when the coaching staff, Marissa, puts back on the tape, they'll see it's the same old song. They need to generate more attacks in that final third.
Well, building off of what you said on the defensive end, it's a lot of youth and inexperience when it comes down to it. We talk a lot about these young guns, and they're playing really well, but you have to understand there are growing pains when playing people who are teenagers, who this is their first season ever in professional soccer. So that's why we did see Haris Medunjanin stay back in that first half. That kind of switched with then Alejandro Bedoya staying a little further back to aid that back line. But once you do that, then your whole structure changes of your formation. Then the ball can't travel through the middle as originally intended in that formation that Jim Curtin wants to put out on the field. So either the defense needs to change and be able to hold their own without a defending midfielder to stay back and almost guard them from their own mistakes. That way, they can get more numbers forward. They can get more opportunities through the middle. I also liked in the second half, they started to hit the ball out just a little bit on the wide, because in the first half we saw them just drive down the middle of the field trying to really channel all the balls through the middle of the field. But Dallas was collapsing on them, making sure that there was no passing channels available. But just hitting it out wide a little bit to Akam, to Pico, opened up space. I think they just needed to continue to do that throughout the second half to get those balls going through. But they just kept losing their space. They kept losing their containment on the field and weren't able to get a rhythm going, which I think is their problem going forward, especially on the road. I talked to a couple players heading into tonight's match, and I said, how do you get better on the road when you know you have a history of not playing your best away from home? And they said, we just need to do it. It's plain and simple. It shouldn't be so hard, but they need to find the rhythm, and they should find it soon.
And you know this, if you were a 4 road win team in the Eastern Conference last year, you made the playoffs in MLS. So that was really Herculean by a lot of those clubs who were victorious on the road. And it's so difficult to win away from home in this league. But this team is not about making excuses. And if you watch this one, you saw the few changes as Ray Gaddis came in on the left side for Matt Real. Thought it was a solid game for Ray Gaddis as well. And Jack Elliott didn't play due to injury. And I think Mark McKenzie did well in his stead, but just not good enough as the Union fell to FC Dallas. We'll continue our conversation about the Union and FC Dallas falling on the road in Texas by a score of 2-0 as we continue on the other side. As you take a look at the updated Eastern Conference standings, you see the Union slide down just above Toronto FC with the 5 points so far. Chicago beat the New York Red Bulls 2-1 tonight. Columbus drew with the Revolution 2-2. Orlando won 3-2 over San Jose. But you see the club only 4 points below the red line. Now, the Union this year have only scored 3 goals. They had 2 goals in the opener against the New England Revolution, but they've expected to score a lot more in 2018 after some offseason acquisitions.
Well, that was a big conversation heading into this week, expected goals. This stat means expected goals is a number of goals the team is expected to score on average given the quality of the chances that they create. As you can see, the Union had an expected goals of around 8.61. They've only scored 3, so this discrepancy of negative 5.61 is the worst in the league. You can also see Toronto, Seattle up there, who are also teams that are struggling. But for the Union to only have 3 goals on the season, 2 of which, as you said, came in the home opener against a team that was playing a man down. So it begins to make you wonder, what is going on? Is this something that we can expect to see continue, and how does this team fix that?
And I think the Union want to see Borek Dojkel produce more out of the number 10. You could see some frustration out there on the pitch with Bedoya, Dojkel and company, but with him, Akam, Sapong, and also Pico, there's a lot of speed if those 4 players run at the back 4 of these opposing teams out there. Scoring 3 goals is just simply not good enough, and I think the Union will look at that number and say, hey, Seattle only has 2 this year. They've gotten off to a slow start, but that goal total needs to be higher. They need to generate some more attacks inside the box and create havoc, because you're seeing, I thought in this match, the center backs had a pretty easy night for FC Dallas.
Also, they can't be so predictable on offense. On paper, when you look at their offensive options, the Union have pretty good talent up there. As you said, Akam, his speed, Pico, his speed, CJ Sapong with his ability to take on defenders one-on-one and use his body and his strength. So on paper, things should be working out a little better. They might be playing a little too predictable, playing too similar game to game, where opposing teams can really plan ahead for them and shut down their preferences. That's something that needs to change. Also, as you said, the center backs didn't have a lot to do because the Union weren't trying anything too different.
And upcoming for the Philadelphia Union will be a matchup at home against DC United. This club has also struggled this year at 1-3-2. They're currently in 9th place entering this weekend's games. They had a bye this week. They're coming off of a 1-0 win against Crew SC. They're playing most of their matches to start the year away from home because of Audi Field opening in July. Yamil Assad comes from Atlanta United. He's a player to watch out for with 2 goals this year. Darren Maddox also has 2 goals as well. And no Bill Hamid. He's playing in Denmark as well. So Osted is in between the sticks for DC United, a team, Marissa, that the Union had a lot of success. They won 2 games over United last year.
It's always a game. It's always a match that has a lot of energy, that's always a little chippy, which makes it fun to watch, and I think more fun for the players to play in. When I talked to the team this week, they said there's no lack of confidence in their team. They still have a lot of confidence in the talent that they put out game to game on the field. They just really need to believe in themselves and commit to the plan they have.
And don't forget, this starts an arduous stretch that began tonight with 4 of the next 5 away from Talent Energy Stadium. They'll go home to play DC United amid the home faithful. Really need a big 3 points before 3 consecutive on the road. Among those 3 teams are matchups at Toronto and Columbus Crew SC, who both went to the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Does end up in another loss for the Philadelphia Union, their 3rd defeat this year. For our producer, Jordan Strauss, JP Delacamera, Tommy Smith, Marissa Pillett, our entire crew, this is Dave Leto saying thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.